Mommy's with the maggots now.
Hello you beautiful maggots, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a body count breakdown for Evil Dead Rise. The film has now been officially unleashed upon the world, and so far the response has been amazing, which is so damn good to see. Now, I've seen it twice now and loved it more the second time around. It's an absolute thrill ride, and this video is essentially breaking down the carnage that ensues in this hour 40 bloodbath. Now, because we're heading into the nitty-gritty details of this film, it goes without saying, but I just want to warn you once again, massive spoilers ahead. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a massive shout out to my dear friend Kodo, aka the extremely talented Boss Logic, whose artwork is featured on the thumbnail for this video. Kodo was lucky enough to do a collaboration with Warner Brothers in the lead up to Evil Dead Rise and came up with some absolutely brutal and beautiful pieces of artwork, so a massive congrats to you, sir. Okay, now that all that housekeeping is done and dusted, let's get to the body count breakdown of Evil Dead Rise. We start off the movie with cousins Teresa and Jessica staying in a cabin alongside Jessica's douchebag boyfriend Caleb. Teresa then goes to check on her cousin who hasn't been feeling well, only to find her curled up on her bed. She then starts spewing out demonic quotes before falling to the ground. Teresa tries to wake her, then all of a sudden the possessed Jessica tears the top off her cousin's scalp. Jessica struggles but slowly makes her way to the dock where Caleb is playing with his drone, her cousin's scalp in hand before dropping it on the dock. She grabs Caleb's drone and slams the propeller blades into her face, causing her to fall into the water. Caleb then jumps in to grab her, but is dragged under and beheaded by the blades of the drone. Teresa then watches on in horror as she bleeds out from being scalped. Jessica then rises up out of the water in midair for what is, in my opinion, one of the best shots in the film. Safe to say that Jessica is now with the maggots. We then cut to one day earlier where we find Beth, a worker in the music industry, visiting her sister, single mother Ellie, in her apartment complex, along with her children Danny, Bridget, and Cassie. We soon see that Beth has fallen pregnant. Clearly not knowing what to do, she tries to reconnect with her sister to help. When Ellie sends the kids to go get pizza so herself and Beth can have some one-on-one time, an earthquake suddenly hits the building and creates a massive hole in the ground level parking lot. Danny investigates the hole and discovers multiple religious artifacts along with a record and a strange book that he takes back up to the apartment. Recordings on the record reveal the book to be the Book of the Dead, aka the Necronomicon, formerly researched by priests who were turned down by the church for doing so. As the priest reads the incantations within the book, a demonic entity is unleashed, cutting the power to the entire building. We then cut to Ellie, who is in the elevator when she's attacked by cables and suspended in the air. She succumbs to the possessed elevator and lets out a blood-curdling scream. Ellie is now dead, and as she puts it perfectly,
Mommy's with the maggots now.
Ellie then lets herself back inside the apartment and starts cooking a beautiful gourmet breakfast before attacking her sister and children. She starts vomiting up what looks like a pool's worth of slime before supposedly dying. She's taken to a bed where we're joined by neighbors Gabriel and Mr. Fonda. And to their surprise, Ellie the Deadite eventually awakens and starts causing havoc once again, but they manage to lock her out in the hallway. But unfortunately, that is not good news for her neighbors as Ellie goes on to attack Gabriel, Jake, Scott, and Mr. Fonda. Firstly, Ellie attacks Gabriel by biting his eye out of his socket, then spitting it into Jake's mouth, who begins choking on it in somewhat of a classic throwback to the goofy violence of the original Evil Dead films. Then, through the view of the peephole, we see little Scott thrown against the wall across the hallway, missing an arm. Looks like little Scotty could use a hand. Hey! And finally, Mr. Fonda, who we see killed off screen by Ellie in the hallway, and his boomstick will come into play later.
Groovy.
Now, after Ellie has finished her hallway carnage, Cassie, the youngest daughter, gives in to her mum's cries and lets her back into the apartment. Rookie error. Attacking Bridget with a tattoo gun that she had just cut herself with, infecting Bridget with her dead-eyed blood. Danny takes Cassie to her room as Beth locks the demon back out. Black liquid soon begins oozing out of Bridget's orifices, and Beth finds a possessed Bridget chewing glass in the kitchen before attacking her with a cheese grater. When she goes to attack Danny and Cassie, Cassie supposedly kills her with a stab to the mouth from none other than the MVP of this movie, Staphne. Danny then ties Bridget's shrouded body to a bed. Danny informs Beth about the Book of the Dead, and she listens to the vinyl recordings as Bridget awakens and attacks Danny and Cassie. Bridget overpowers Danny, stabbing him in the chest, but not before Danny lights her on fire, supposedly killing her. But unfortunately, Danny bleeds out and succumbs to his wounds. Ellie escapes from the hallway through the ventilation system and attacks Beth in the bedroom as she's listening to the recordings. Cassie then throws Beth a pair of scissors, which she uses to subdue Ellie, stabbing her in the mouth before taking Cassie out into the hallway in an attempt to escape the building. Ellie arrives along with the now possessed bodies of Danny and Bridget, proclaiming that Beth and Cassie will be dead by dawn. The possessed corpses of the neighbors suddenly awaken and combined with Ellie, Danny, and Bridget create a spider-like creature called the Morador. Now this was a mixture of a practical puppet and CGI, with the practical puppet being built by Odd Studios. Beth and Cassie escape through the elevator, which overflows with blood, resulting in the elevator falling to the ground level and allowing them to escape into the parking lot in a nice little homage to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Beth and Cassie attempt to escape, but Cassie is abducted by the creature before they can do so. The creature attempts to kill Cassie with a chainsaw, but is interrupted by a returning Beth, who uses the chainsaw to force the creature into a massive wood chipper. When Ellie's decapitated head taunts Beth, she accepts that her sister is gone, kicking her head into the wood chipper, finally killing the creature and escaping the building with Cassie. Now I said the film begins a day after the events we just witnessed. We then see the next morning Jessica, who lives on the same floor as Ellie and her family. Leaving for a vacation, she's on the phone to her cousin Teresa, trying to persuade her that this little getaway will be a fun time. She then gets down to the parking garage where all the carnage is still on show. Blood, guts, and all. She sees it, lets out a horrifying guttural scream before a Sam Raimi Dutch angle comes for her, possessing her body, and we then cut to credits. Now, if I had to pick my favorite kill, it's got to be Gabriel. That eye bite and spit into Jake's mouth is so damn Sam Raimi and classic Evil Dead. It's just a nice little throwback. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little body count breakdown of Evil Dead Rise. With that being said, let me know your favorite kill down below once you have seen the film. Thanks for watching, love your guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.